Hey guys, what's up? It's Fern. Thank you so much for joining me for another Plenty video. I have not filmed a video in about 3 weeks now. It has been quite the time over here. There was, Christmas, and then after that I promptly got sick, and that's where I have been, is just, hanging out, being sick. Yeah, it's been very crap. I'm honestly still not feeling 100%, but I just need to get back into filming and editing and everything. I think that that's going to help me to feel better, so hopefully it does. Anyways, regardless, very happy to be back filming, to be back here with you guys. Thank you so much for being patient in my absence. I really appreciate that. I hope that y'all have had a wonderful start to 2023. I wanted to just film something very relaxed today as I kind of ease myself back into things. So I figured that we could sit down and talk about and do some plant care on my lovely philodendron tortum. I love this plant so much, and I know that a lot of y'all do. I get a lot of questions about it, so I'm going to just talk about what my experience has been growing it, and we're also going to be giving it a new stake because right now it's just has this really flimsy little stake here, which it's outgrown, and oh my goodness, yeah, see, it's literally just like not really doing much. So I'm gonna replace that with a bamboo stake, and we might repot it as well. I'm gonna have to take a look at the roots, so we'll do that. So I guess we'll start off by just chatting about this guy a little bit. So I got this philodendron in May of 2021. So as of right now, I've had it for a bit over a year and a half. It'll be 2 years in May. And I got it as just, I'm pretty sure it was just one leaf, and then it had like another growth point coming out. And the leaf didn't look like it was in amazing condition, and the plant said, like on the listing, it was philodendron tortum and then in brackets as is. So I guess, I don't know, it didn't look amazing, but it was just like what you see is what you get type of thing. And at this time, these were not commonly available. Like, I never really saw them pop up. So when I saw this listing, I was like, okay. And I remember it was $150, which seems like a lot to me now. But at the time, that was like a pretty good deal for this plant. So this was in May. My birthday is in June, and I asked my boyfriend if he would buy it for me, and he did. So I got this plant as a gift. And it showed up. I was very excited. I think I did an unboxing on my Patreon. And yeah, I got this plant, and very happy with it and everything. It did have some yellowing, but it looked fine other than that. And then fast forward a couple of weeks, and the whole leaf was basically yellow and floppy, and it just looked awful, and I was like, oh shite. So I looked at the roots, and unfortunately the plant was rotting, and I was like, oh my goodness, like what the heck? I didn't know if it was already rotting when I bought it, or I don't know. So I had to cut the roots off, and I think at first I tried just putting the whole thing in water and propagating it. Not much was really happening, so I decided to chop the plant up, and I had I think the top cutting in water, and then the lower parts, which was kind of like a wet stick situation, I put that in my perlite prop box. And lucky for me, both cuttings rooted up really well. I've only had experience propagating this plant when I've been like forced into it. So I had to propagate at that time, and then there's another time that I propagated this plant where you can see here my grow light fell down and decapitated it, so oh my goodness, it got cut off around there and then put out that new shoot. But I think that I threw the top. It was unfortunate because it was just pushing out a new leaf, so it was a very delicate like top cut, I guess, where it got kind of beheaded. And I don't think that actually made it, but that was just, a bad situation all around. But with the two pieces that I propagated right off the bat from the beginning when this had rotted, they both rooted up really well. I had no problems. Yeah, so that's really my only experience with propagating this plant, and it went really well. Just from that limited experience, I don't think it's a tricky philodendron to propagate, and I think that you'd have good luck with perlite, water, or sphagnum. You can kind of go whatever route you would prefer. It's pretty, has like a typical hardy philodendron vibes when it comes to that. Actually, when it comes to a lot of things, I do think that this is quite a tough plant. Anyways, so I obviously ended up with 2 plants because I had those 2 propagations, and for a while I grew 2 separate pots of this plant, and then eventually I decided to consolidate them, and now I have 2 plants growing in this pot. As you can see, I have one over here, which is the bigger one, and then I have a smaller one right here. I think that this was the one that came from the wet stick, and then the bigger one was the one that was the top cut. I love having 2 separate plants potted in here because it's so fun to just have like twice the amount of new leaves coming in, because the new leaves are so fun to watch on this plant. So I did recently get a new leaf right here. This one is still hardening off, and that's on the smaller plant in here. And then the larger one is just unfurling a new leaf up here, which is always very exciting. Yeah, I love it. I'm really happy with this plant setup. Honestly, I recommend if you get this plant, even if it's a small one, chop it in 2 so that you can have 2 plants growing in the pot. It's just so much more satisfying. As for care, for the majority of the time I've had this philodendron, it has been growing in my IKEA greenhouse cabinet. I do have some experience with growing outside of the cabinet, and that went fine, but I do notice like the rate of growth and everything is just amplified in cabinet conditions. So I can't speak a ton to just regular like ambient room conditions. However, after today, I am going to be growing it outside of the cabinet because once we restake this and everything, it's just not going to fit. It already doesn't even really fit in the cabinet. It's just getting too tall. So I will be able to speak on that more once I have some more experience growing this outside of the cabinet. But if you do have a cabinet and you're wondering if it would do well inside there, I would say a yes. Mine has absolutely loved it. So yeah, it's done really well in higher humidity and under a grow light and everything. Like, it's a completely controlled environment. So I'm very curious to see how it's going to do outside of the cabinet. I will say that this plant has been really tough when it comes to underwatering. I've definitely underwatered this a lot, and like right now it's honestly bone dry and it's not even drooping or anything. Like, it still looks amazing. So I do think that it's quite a hardy philodendron, honestly, in my experience. It can handle some neglect, so I would like classify it on the easier end when it comes to philodendron or like houseplants in general. Okay, so I figured we would hop into taking a look at the roots. So I'm just gonna gently pull them out of here. I just have this plant potted into the mix that I have almost all of my collection potted into, which is cocoa coir, fir bark, pumice, perlite, and I think that that's it. My mix is a little bit different now, but I'm pretty sure that that's all that this guy is potted in. And the roots, I mean, he's not super root bound or anything, but I might up the pot size just so I don't have to worry about it later on. So let me see what sizes I have right now that I could put him in. Okay, I think I'm gonna move him up to this pot. This is probably like a 5.5 inch pot maybe, from this little short 4 inch. Okay, so I had mentioned that right now my mix is a little bit different than what it was in the past. So it still has the same base of cocoa coir, fir bark, perlite, and pumice, but there's also charcoal, myco, the dino-myco, and osmocote in here now, so it just has some extra things added, and I've really been enjoying it. So I'm just gonna fill that up a bit. Then, actually, this is easy to just like put into the pot, which is really nice about these bamboo stakes, so I don't even think I need to worry about that right now. Just gonna pop this guy in. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and backfill the pot. just around the plant. Okay, so I'm going to remove the old stick. Oh. Yeah, see, this guy would be so floppy without support. Oh my goodness. So I'm gonna go ahead and push this stake in here. It's pretty much gonna be bypassing most of the roots, I think. Okay. And I did ask y'all in a previous video what type of support I should give this plant, and like 98% of you agreed with me on the bamboo stake, so thank you for leaving a comment and casting your vote. It made me feel like a lot more confident about going this route. I was like, okay, they agree with me, excellent, we're all on the same page here. Okay, oh my goodness, this is gonna look so good. I can probably use the same tape even. Oh, that's perfect. That is perfect. As for fertilizer for this plant, I just give it whatever I'm giving the rest of my plants. I kind of like bounce around to a few different fertilizers that I have, so there's not one set like specific one that I use. And like I said, there is slow release fertilizer in here, so I'm not as concerned about it, but I am still supplementing my water with liquid fertilizer most of the time. Yeah, it just gets whatever I happen to be using that day. And then the last thing I wanted to touch on was pests, and I have never had a pest on this plant, like knock on wood. This is one of my only plants that I've never had a pest issue with, so very thankful for that. Even when it's been around other plants that have had like spider mites and thrips, this plant never got sick with them. So yeah, I was I'm very happy about that. Okay, it is looking just so good. Eventually I'm gonna have to attach the second plant to the pole as well, but it's still very small right now, so it doesn't need to be. It's just this one that was getting so tall that I really wanted to upgrade to the bamboo stake. Alright, so that's how it's looking. I'm super happy with how this turned out. Can't wait to watch it grow even more. I don't even know where I'm going to be putting this, to be honest with you, but I'm probably going to be doing my like January updates video sometime soon, so you'll be able to find out where I put it in that video, so make sure you are subscribed. Alright, that's going to be it for this one today, you guys. I'm just keeping it short and sweet, but I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me and talking about and repotting my philodendron tortum. Can't wait to post updates on how it's doing. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Leave me a comment down below. I would love to chat with you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!